Hey, 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 good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's another Monday and it's the weekly wrap up. And we've got a huge week happening this week. So we've had Japan about to tighten rates, and that's likely to happen within this week. And we have the FOMC, where we've ended quantitative tightening officially as of the 1st. So now we go into this period where we might see a rate cut, fingers crossed, because I'm just about to show you why this is so important for the pattern. And, you probably see people go, well, this is the perfect storm. It is literally the perfect storm for BTC. And if you're bearish now, it's like you're not going to be after you see this, because this is epic. We might get a pullback. We might get a little tiny pullback, but the majority of the move is going to be bullish. So let me first jump in to our sponsor, and who is WeX. And if you aren't on this, these signals are free. So absolutely free when you sign up to WeX. So when you head to our page here, getting started in crypto.com, free-scalp-with-WeX. So you want to get onto that because those signals are free and you'll be making money. It was 350% last month, which is massive. So especially in this market, which has been really tough. So head to there. All brought to you by WeX. All the instructions are there, and you can sign up with my. You need to sign up with my code to get the signals. So that will bring you into Christmas with some nice cash spare, so you can buy everyone some really nice presents. Me too. So do that, and let's jump in to this JPY 10 chart. So this is the 10-year bond yield chart. So the ticker on this, for those that are interested, is JP10Y. And this is obviously the Bitcoin chart. So we are right here. We can see that with Bitcoin, we're just starting to bounce. Now, if we go back through these pullbacks on the JPY, we can see that in this region here, BTC was at a bottom and the JPY was at the top. And when it had a pullback, Bitcoin went up. Let's have a look at this one. We're near the bottom. Oh, same scenario. So we can see that on the 1st of August 24, the government bonds 10-year yield had a pullback. BTC went up. So, and again, we can see that we had a pullback on the bonds chart. Bitcoin went up. So if you are seriously bearish in this region, you were insane, because the chart is not lying here. It's showing us what BTC has been doing this whole entire time. So we want to get onto that. Like, literally, this is what is going on at the moment for BTC and for Japan. So because this is paired with USA potential rate cut, Japan rate hike, pulling back on the bonds, and then liquidity has been moving through the repo markets. We've seen all the Tether FUD come through, where Tether has a whole heap of liquidity in the short-term liquidity markets. So this is starting to shape up and looking really promising. So for me, This is a really bullish move. Probably not this, maybe this week, later after if we get a cut. If not, we're definitely going into the new year positive. And I think we're seeing that 4-year cycle extension and a slight change, because this is going into a third wave. So if the pattern is correct, we're going into a third wave very, very soon, and potentially we may have seen a bottom. So that's kind of where we're at now. Over the weekend, if you're in Getting Started in Crypto, you got a full breakdown of why that matters. And also, if you're on X and Threads, you would have got a post which was also in Getting Started in Crypto, just with where the pivots are, so we can see, kind of where we get the weekly close, where we are in the pattern. So we knew that we'd hit that pivot, and potentially that means we're going up, because it's a directional pivot. So today we've had a minor pullback, which usually happens on a weekly open, and we get a sell-off, and then we get a bounce. So especially if we've hit a pivot. So if we jump up to that weekly chart, we can see that we had, quite a strong directional candle here. No directional candle here, which is a doji. So, and it's saying that, okay, sellers have pushed us down, buyers have pushed us up. It's kind of like there's no man land, but majority of the time when we see this candle, it's actually quite bullish. So we'll potentially see a move up to these pivots here, and then a pullback. So this takes us up to that key 106 level that I've been talking about over the last few weeks. Breaking that 106 level is super bullish, super bullish. At the moment, we look like we're heading in that direction. Weekly is starting to change momentum on the MACD. These are lagging indicators, so this is like it's slowly moving through. We've got a lot more buy volume entering the market. So, when we do see these candles, have a look here, this same candle, have a look at the move. So, we've got this candle here, potentially the next move up. So this one's at the bottom. So that's literally, we go, okay, it's at the bottom, it's moving up. But normally when we see this, we either get one small pullback, it's kind of the exhaustion of these patterns, and then with continuations of moving in the direction of the reversal. So that's literally what that is. So we've seen it here. Hopefully we see it again here, and we get that continuation. So key levels that I'm watching this week, 106,400, and we cross that, then I'm going to be getting super, super bullish, and you're going to be hearing it from the rooftops, literally. So, but it's looking like it's moving in that direction. USDT has calmed down a little bit, so we might see like a bit of a spike either way, like we will on BTC at some point this week, where we'll have shorts taken out, we'll have longs taken out, and then liquidations across the board, and then off we go. So try not to get stuck into that, because that's where people start to kind of lose their money, and they miss the big moves. So if you're in this area and you are leverage trading, make sure it's low leverage. Make sure there's enough room for stop losses, because there is going to be wicks this week. That always is a given with the FOMC. So DXY at the moment has support of the 100. Now, a rate cut may see this dip, which is good, because it just means, okay, rest of the world are going, that's a risky move. This will hopefully continue down. So far, so good. So we do want it to continue to break down. It's right on the pivot at the moment. So breaking down under this 100 also breaks the pattern, and then a continued continuation down lower. So that is the ideal perfect storm that we possibly could see this week. BTC dominance is sitting on the channel, so it as well may see an increase when BTC decides to have a bit of a bounce, as we're seeing. I wouldn't be, concerned even if we get kind of a pullback around the sort of, the 88 to 89 mark with a wick. That's not going to be, such a sort of stressful thing, because that's just whale games, and we need to be prepared for whale games when we're going into a FOMC week. So it always happens. We're under a resistance still on and a support region on the total crypto market cap. So potentially we've got a diamond forming there. So basically that, click it, is a bullish pattern. It's a bit of an ugly diamond, but it's still a diamond. So there we go. And that breaks up. So a lot of the charts are seeing that pattern at the moment. So that's looking really, really good. With ETH, we're under a resistance, long-term resistance from higher, much higher. So I'm just going to make that thicker. So this comes from the beginning of October, which was around near the high, but not quite the high. So we're still under that resistance. Best way to move past a resistance is sideways. That's kind of what ETH is doing at the moment. This daily is just about to cross on the 9 and 20, 21 EMAs. Now, when that happens, the bots kick in, and this will have a bullish break. So a lot of algo bots trade the 9 and 21. And that's why they're on my charts. And we've got a nice cross happening here on the stock RSI, and green MACD. So for me, it's going to sort of hit around this region. Ideally, we don't want it to break down below 2,840-ish. Depends on which exchange you're on. They will vary a couple of dollars to maybe $20 on each exchange. So if I give you a pivot, it's going to be maybe slightly different on a different exchange. And ETH BTC is starting to make some moves. So that is looking good for ETH itself. So when that happens, it just means ETH has more money coming in than what BTC does, more strength. So they like the seesaw, one up, one down. So I think we're going into potentially a Christmas run and a really good start to the new year. The perfect storm with the JPY, and I think it's a really positive thing. Now, I've only got a few alts to look at this week, and I'm just going to quickly put up an ad for, of course, getting started in crypto, because we want to see you all there. We've been making some really nice profits over the last few months when it has been really difficult. The signals are still coming. There are stop losses, but the way our signals work, if you are trading the majority of the signals, you're going to have more wins than you do losses, and you can lose up to 50%, even more sometimes in trading with stop losses, 50% if you have the right money management. And that's what we do. So if you're curious, you can find on, I think it's on my pinned tweet on Twitter, the code for a weekly trial. So I think it's about $15. So it hasn't changed. So make sure you come and have a look, come and see us, because we've got some really cool stuff going on. Now let's quickly run to this ad, and I will see you back in 30 seconds with some alts. And of course, we've got a really cool app to make it really easy for you to get all the alerts and notifications. So make sure you check out gettingstartedincrypto.com. So first up, we've got ADA. So this is one that it's just continued down, hasn't helped with a lot of the FUD that's been circulating around at the moment. But it has got enough waves. It's got a very truncated wave here, which potentially means this is a bullish move. It's broken through pivots, which is another good sign. So the next test is if it can get up above the 200 MA, which is sitting at 4690. Now, there's a resistance, a couple of them, depending on which way we want to draw our lines and pull down our resistance regions. So if we pull it down in this region, we've got one right on the 200 MA. So that is a point where it will get a rejection. Likely we'll test that point, that 4690, have a pullback at this. We want it to hold 4229, and then it should break out. That's the ideal scenario. If it sees a rejection at this point, that's a fourth touch and it will continue lower. So if you've been watching this long enough, 3 touches and the fourth touch is the make or break. So the fourth touch, it'll either go up or down, and then you've got your answer. So, but it does have enough waves that this pattern is complete. There is another pattern that has one more wave with the WXYXZ pattern. So if this is a rejection at this point at 5487, then it'll come back down through the pivots and potentially might have one more wave lower. That will correlate if BTC starts, doing a head and shoulders. So if we sit at 106 and we start coming back down, alts may do one last low before we have a larger move up into sort of Christmas and New Year. And I do see a lot of alts starting to move. So liquidity is still very, very tight at the moment, and we do need more liquidity. But that flow is slowly happening. So next one is Litecoin. So this pattern's a bit ugly. It's actually a bit ugly. And one of the guys at Getting Started in Crypto has asked about it. And I thought, I'm going to have another look. So it's come back down. It's retested this long-term support. Now, if it can pass 91.11, then, this is a potentially bullish chart and heading up for this third wave, which is going to be quite explosive. Litecoin tends to move before Bitcoin. It's normally one of the first coins to move. So it's one to watch. The indicators on the daily look quite positive for a move up. So it might be a time that I might be looking fairly soon to do a signal on this. But we're going to have those wicks over the next couple of days. So just be super careful with those wicks, because they will be happening. Zen, now this has done a full correction and it's just starting to cross on the 9 and 21. As I said, that's an algo bot sort of target thing. It's, sitting on fib levels, 9 and 21 cross. That is a potential move. The next pivot up on here is 11.34. That starts to break. We're looking quite bullish. So Zen is one that I like to trade as well. So it hasn't been something that I've been in. Now it's in a point of interest that is, looking quite good. So yeah. So I just want to say hello to all the people saying hello in the chat as well. So I've got Sadi at Getting Started in Crypto, KJS, and I've got Robbie White, Gunleaf, and he wants thoughts about my stuff. I can give you the thoughts, but it's not going to be financial advice, because I've kind of voiced about what that FUD is on Twitter, on X. So, and what I don't believe Michael Saylor is going to be selling. I think they've sold enough strategy at the moment that it will support them in, paying whatever debts they have if they need to. And I think that was a lot of FUD in the market. And it was really good FUD. So, we used to see the FUD cycle, at the start was after Mt. Gox. So Mt. Gox FUD started in about 2012, I think, before the actual exchange blew up. So they had a bit of a hack. They had several hacks as like time went by, but the major one was when all the Bitcoin disappeared off the exchange. So I think that was like 2013, 2014. So that was, the major sort of implosion of the market. FUD came through. Then we saw, Mt. Gox FUD was up until sort of like about 2020 really, really prominent in the market because, they hadn't released any coins. It was like, what the hell is this going to do? Is the market going to implode if all of these coins come in with low liquidity? So it used to just like everyone used to panic and it used to go down. Then we had China FUD because China stopped banking. China stopped a lot of movements with Bitcoin. So every time China FUD came in, the market absolutely plummeted. So, as the market has evolved, we've had Tether FUD. So Tether FUD's been around like forever because, Tether's a private company. It doesn't need to reveal everything it does. And that Tether FUD comes in. We saw extreme Tether FUD, even with some big players getting involved in that, where when you pull back and you look at it, you go, okay, is this actually FUD or is this a discussion between two big players? And if you look at it as a discussion, it's actually quite interesting to see, the questions they're asking, about banks, about, liquidity, about where the money's coming from, what the balance is, and if you have a look at what they were saying, where they're buying Bitcoin is with profits. So it's not like when you look at that, they had $8 billion or something in profits and they bought Bitcoin. So that's not money that goes into the everyday working of the Tether business. So that FUD, for anyone that doesn't know how a business works, is pretty scary. So the market went down. Then, obviously market wasn't moving down enough. Then JP Morgan, who, when you look at it from a, bank perspective, JP Morgan's a bank and they take positions. So if they want to take a short, that FUD is going to be extreme. So then they looked, okay, what's the biggest player in the market? It's strategy. And then they started FUDding that. So they've picked some stuff that's not even true as yet. It's potential, doesn't mean it's going to happen. So when it happens, that's when you have stop losses. That's when you have, that sort of stuff. It's all priced in. All the patterns are priced in. So, it's a little scary if the shit hits the fan. I agree, Gunleaf. And, but you've got to think, is Michael Saylor a stupid man? Is he like one of the biggest, or if not the biggest owner of Bitcoin at the moment? And would people like JP Morgan want a piece of that? So, they've got their foot in the door in mining companies, in like liquidity, in Circle, in backing these, like a lot of these big players to come to the market. So when you pull back the curtain and you go, okay, what's the deal here? That was all FUD, like a whole lot of FUD. And yeah, it might be the end of this cycle and we might be going into a bear market. Then we flip the strategy and we look at, like, if you're a spot trader, like I am the majority of the time, we look for where the bounces are. If you're, a scalp trader, you trade both ways. So there's not an issue to whether it's bullish or bearish. It's just a different trade. One trades up, one trades down. So, getting stuck in the FUD cycle is just insanely crazy. So just pull back and go, what's the picture that I'm looking at here? What's the realistic outcome? And what am I doing to protect my capital in this moment? So when you look at that and you take all the emotions out of it, you take the emotions that you're putting onto the money, you take the emotions that you're going, okay, well, if I don't have this money and it doesn't hit this certain level, then I'm not going to be okay, or I'm not enough, or whatever you're telling yourself. Stop telling yourself that stuff and stop trading with money that has meaning, because the money that you're trading with needs to be like no emotion, like completely okay if the trade goes completely against you. So you know that you've got money management and a stop loss and you're not overcommitted. So that is going to stop all of those emotions and getting caught in that FUD cycle, because it's like being in a toxic relationship. You're in a toxic relationship with crypto, where crypto comes in and it's like, oh, we're having a good moment, now let's add the toxicity to it. And then you guys all get stuck in it and you're like arguing with yourself, and you can tell when we're coming close to the bottom, because that toxic cycle that runs within crypto gets really nasty at the bottom. And I was just like, oh my God, last week, we're getting close to the bottom here and we're getting close to a bounce. So I do think we're getting that cut and we're going to see some nice momentum with the market, hopefully this week and next. So hopefully that answers your question. But I don't think it's as scary as it looks. I think, it's just the new FUD cycle. It's something that works. It's something that all the institutions are going, okay, this market's really overheating. What do we do to pull it back? And then they all take a short at a certain point, and they're making money for their clients. So you've got to think like a bank, think like a whale, and then go, okay, this is how the market's working. And it's like, then you step back and it's emotionless. It's just a market. It's just green and red candles that are going up and down. So yeah, but stay safe out there by all means. So Asta, this is one of my favorite charts, and this is the last chart that I'll add. I won't do a chart for strategy because there's been a few crackdowns here in Australia at the moment with that, but that is my opinion on them. And I'm quite allowed apparently to have an opinion, just not the charts right at this point until all those laws are settled and passed. And I think they're going through within the next few weeks. So I will be able to have more opinions, I think, on charts like that in the future, which will be nice. So not give signals on those ones. Can still give signals on crypto though, which is nice. So that hasn't changed. So yeah, Asta. So this is one that I've been following since it dropped. It's very, very similar to what's happening in Monad, if you've been following that. So a lot of these charts, like I've explained in a video, and I might repost that one after this. So the video that I posted about the seed investors. So seed investors invest in these and they go, I believe in this product. We're going to get it to market. And when we get it to market, we're going to sell, because that's where we make our profit. So they buy tokens at like a fraction of the price. So this is launched at like 0.53. Maybe they got these tokens at 5 cents. So, you know, at this point at launch, they've got 10 times. Then by this point, like literally, you know, they've made a lot of money. So of course they're going to sell, because that's why they're in the market. So at this point, say they got it even lower, we're going back down. You know, we got it right all the way back down here. You know, they're making 2,000-3,000%, maybe more on their investment. So even if they sold this second bump, they're still making 2,500%. So that's huge, huge. So this is how big players make their money. And then retail go, well, this is the best thing since sliced bread. It's going to take out pump fund. It's going to replace like all the DEXs because it does X, Y, and Z. And forgetting that there was no lockup on this coin. There was just seed investors. So there was something that Arthur Hayes said about his company, that all of the tokens that they've given funding to have never taken the lockup option because they've never believed in their own product. So that's the difference. Like, if you don't have the investors, the seed investors locked, these coins do this. They just go down, 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 down until they get to a level that retail go, okay, it's probably exhausted now. It's time to get in. So that's what's happening in the market. Years and years ago, when I was doing ICOs with coin runners, all the tokens had locks. All the tokens had investment periods for everything that we invested in. So say Lend, which is now Ava. So they change names as it goes along, and they get more investing and they change and evolve. So when it started, we had a 12-month lock on that. And there was no way that any of the investors could sell into the market. So that went through the roof. I can't pull a chart up for Lend because it's not Lend anymore. But the same happened for Dot. The same happened, you know, and then Dot did a de-denomination, which is where they, you know, go from 100 down and they issue more tokens and coins. And that was super bullish in the last bull run. Hasn't done much this like whole entire cycle. So that's the thing, because we've had a change in this cycle where we've got 30 billion million zillion coins come in, and the same liquidity, maybe a touch more. So everyone's like struggling for liquidity. Yeah, we did like 50 to 100%, but we didn't do like 3,000 to 5,000% like we did in old markets. So we had, you know, these charts that would drop in, and way back when, so if I pull up Dot will have like the de-denomination. Oops. So if we go to Dot, and I'm going to put this up to a weekly chart, because we can see this is where we had the de-denomination, where we went from like 300 or 30 or whatever it was, and we dropped 2 digits. And then it became like super, super bullish. So this is 2020 when this happened, you know, and, you know, Dot dropped in and, you know, it was too expensive. So the team made the decision to do that. And then it was locked. It was, all the tokens were locked. So at this point, around May, we got our first unlock. So at this point, we had our 12-month unlock. So that's how, and it looks very similar to what we see in a lot of the charts that are just pumping and dumping at the moment. But you see that they're moving because they've got, and there's more momentum. Like this is a weekly chart, so this is taken weeks, whereas we go back to the Asta chart. It's not going to let me do that. Hang on. Should have opened a new one. So we go back to the Asta chart, and we can see that this has taken, this is a 4-hour chart. So if I put this up to the weekly chart, we've done this, what DOT did in the period where it was allowed to breathe, it was allowed to move, it was allowed to gain momentum. This has done that same kind of move in weeks. And this is how the cycles sped up, because the gambling element, the intermittent reinforcement, as it's called in psychology, is hitting hard right at the moment, because there's so many coins and tokens, and they pump and then they dump. So you want to learn how to trade at this point, because I see everyone complaining about it, and it's like, well, I'm just losing money, I'm just doing this. And it's like, if you knew Elliott Wave and you knew where these pivots are, then you would be like, okay, I'm selling at this point because this pivot didn't break, or I'm buying here because it held the pivot, and we're going into a certain pattern within Elliott Wave. So yeah, it's just, the thing is, with the market at the moment, you really, really need to be knowledgeable to know what is going on, to know why you're buying, why you're selling, not just there's a green candle and I'm going to jump in. So yeah, I hope that explains for everyone, because I get a lot of DMs and I don't answer DMs, and that has been the majority of the stuff that I'm seeing at the moment. And I always try to address it in my videos and within charts and everything that I'm seeing. So I hope that explains why the market is moving like it is at the moment. It's gone into a casino style intermittent reinforcement when we've had the introduction this cycle, when we've had pump fun and Solana sort of meme coins and that sort of stuff just going crazy. So that enabled the market to grow faster than the liquidity, and that probably made those seed token investors and those people running pump fun, those people running the scammy coins that were going on there, and it was the same groups, just recycling, and those people made a lot of money. You guys, not so much, because you got caught up in the hype of the casino. So take a step back, take a breath, and learn to trade. I've been starting to put up a lot more educational videos, and in the new year, please sign up. Head to BeLikeLisa.com, sign up for the 21-day course, and you will get tips and hints over that 21 days. And as of next year, I've officially started recording all of the videos. I've written all the courses, so that's all going to be going up as well. So please have a look. That 21-day course is free, so do sign up. So I hope the information provided today was insightful and helpful, and is going to help you in the next coming weeks with what BTC does. But of course, I will be here Monday. I'm always available if you've got questions. I do answer pretty much everything that I see on X. Unless it's a directly personal question, I kind of ignore those. But yeah, everything else I will answer. And yeah, and if you're in Getting Started in Crypto, you can request charts at any time. So head to gettingstartedincrypto.com, and don't forget to check out the free WeX signals, because we are brought to you today by WeX. So Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you on all the socials and here next week. Bye.